Well, here we are again with another oil leak on my 95 Kawasaki Vulcan 1500. It's a vibrating beast. And I don't know if it's because it's vibrating extra because I put the straight pipes on there and had it jetted, or I have no idea. But this thing vibrates, especially in low gear, like first and second and third. Especially first and second, it just vibrates bad. And well, coming to find out, it looks like I have a bolt that's missing from the crankcase, and I have a pretty good oil leak. So if I go on a long ride and it sits, when I come back home the next day, like, I have to top it off some more because it's noticeably lower and there's a lot of oil on the cardboard. So this is my third leak now that I'm going to be repairing on this bike. The first one was a slave cylinder seal was leaking, and then I had some kind of a crack on the valve cover area, and I repaired that with some JB Weld. That's fine. But yeah, now I got this, and this bolt's in a crazy spot. It's basically like the frame of the bike is blocking where the bolt goes. So hold on a second, let me show you. Okay, so that black area on the bottom of your screen there, on the side of the right corner of the screen, that is my frame. Okay, in that hole there should be a bolt that goes in there. It's one of the bolts that holds the crankcase together, and now it's leaking oil. So, and you can't get to it, man, and you can't put a bolt in there because there's that frame's right in the way. So I was told by a mechanic, a guy that does this for a living, that, oh my, okay, then I'm gonna have to basically disconnect my left footrest, my left foot peg, and the shifter. Take that off, that way it won't be hitting. See how it's already almost hitting on the frame now? And that'll give me about not very much clearance. It might go down about a ½ inch before it hits again on that frame. But maybe I could lower it a ½ inch, just enough to get that bolt in there. And see, here's the motor mount, right? Bam, right there. Okay, there's one on each side of the motor. He says I'm gonna have to put a jack underneath this thing, right? Take the tension off just a little bit, and then crack the motor mounts loose, and then of course you got to have the footrest off and the shifter, and then slowly lower the motor down to where it, it's probably going to rest again, on the shifter shaft. But if I take that shifter off, it'll give me, like I said, about a ½ inch to drop it. That might be just enough. We'll see what happens. And I think on the other side of the bike I'm good, because to me it looks like there's plenty of room for it to drop on the right side. Nothing's gonna hit. I mean, possibly I might have to remove this exhaust, that bottom exhaust pipe. I might have to take that off, but hopefully I won't. Hopefully I won't have to. So we'll see what happens. And I'm gonna try and do that, and I'll get back to you and let you know what's up. Alright, before you take your shifter off, probably a good idea to get a black permanent marker and mark where it's at. That way when you put it back together, when you're done fixing or doing the repair, you don't got to keep taking this thing back off and on to get it the right spot for, the height for your boot, your foot to fit in there comfortably. Because you could be off just a couple splines and it's not going to feel right when you get it all put back together. You're not going to like it. So if you like the shifter where it's at, make sure you mark it. That way you don't have to keep messing with it. Alright, man, this shifter gave me quite a bit of trouble for it to come loose, come off the shaft, the spline shaft. You know what? This bolt, it goes into the side. Sorry. It goes into the side and it kind of locks this thing together, makes it pinch and close together. I had to take this all the way out for some reason, and then it seemed to work and come off a lot easier. And then I even got a little hammer, and I got this flathead screwdriver and kind of put it at the bottom of that split and just tapped it in with a hammer to open this up just a little bit, and it helped it to come off real easy. But like I said, I don't even think I had to do that. I think it was just a matter of that bolt having to be all the way out. So, well, might want to do that. Anyway. Okay, so there's my shifter shaft, the spline shaft for the shifter. And if you look down, forward and down from that shifter, see, there's that open hole where that bolt should be for the crankcase, and you can see it's wet, so there's oil just kind of dripping out of it, you know. Like, it's not dripping right now, but you know, when you get it hot and warm it up, then and you park it, then it starts to drip and stuff. And obviously when you're driving it, it does it too. You just can't tell. But that's a problem, man. And I don't like that. So I got to get that plugged. I'm hoping that the previous owner did not snap that bolt off. I hope I won't have to extract it. I don't know. I can't get a mirror or anything in there to be able to see. It's just too tight of a spot. I'm gonna have to drop it down and then just take a look at it. Hopefully there's not a bolt in there. I could just, and everything's good, I could just put a new bolt in there and we're good to go. But I won't know till I get it down. So alright, so we're not having fun unless we're working on an oil leak. Alright. Hey, so that motor mount on the front of the motor, you got one on the back on the bottom too. But the one in the front, I know for sure, it's a big long bolt and it goes all the way through. So I had to put a wrench, and it's super tight, man. It's like Hulk Hogan put this thing on or something. So I got this wrench locked in against the crankcase there. On the one side. And then over here, I was gonna break my ratchet, man. I could hear like the gears in the ratchet were gonna break. So I got a breaker bar, Harbor Freight, okay, and it's a 14 millimeter socket. And I got an adapter. It's better if you have a 1/2 inch drive 14 millimeter socket. I don't have one, so I got an adapter, which I don't like that, but it's working. Anyway, so I'm breaking it loose, and then once I get it broke loose enough, I'll put my ratchet on it. That's how long this motor mount goes all the way through the motor, man. It's like, I don't know, 12 inches long. But here's my problem, why I was having a hard time with it. You can see all that corrosion on the threads there, so, and rust and calcium, I don't know what that is, some kind of white stuff. Sorry, you can see it better now. So I'm going to definitely clean that up before I put it back together. Keep in mind, before you take that bolt or begin to loosen that motor mount bolt, make sure you have a jack underneath that motor holding the pressure and taking the pressure off of that bolt. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get that bolt out. And so now I'm going to carefully lower the jack and see if I can make it go down enough to get that hole to clear that frame on the other side. Alright, I had to remove the exhaust on the right side, the lower exhaust from the side of the motor. I was kind of holding it up, and then it's not down far enough still, and it's because it's hitting on that bolt, the motor mount. That bolt head is resting on top of the motor mount. It's right in the way, so I'm gonna have to take that shiny chrome bolt out wherever it goes to, so it can clear that motor mount, so it can drop a little lower. I'm not quite, you know, under here. I don't have enough clearance yet. See? See that drip forming too? Alright, so I went through all that trouble of dropping the motor in the front down enough to clear the frame to get that bolt put in, and it's not going to happen. The side pieces are too big, they're too bulky, they won't clear the frame. I would have to remove the clutch cover assembly, and to do that you got to evacuate all the fluids. You have to remove the other side where the slave cylinder housing, the area there, you have to remove that as well. You know what, I just want to get a couple more years out of this bike. I'm just going to use good old JB Weld. And if you've never used JB Weld, let me tell you, this stuff works really good. You find it at AutoZone, Walmart, wherever. It's a cold weld. It's like an epoxy, but it's super strong. I'm telling you, it lasts. I've fixed a water pump on a car with JB Weld, and it lasted for years without leaking. So with a broken bolt was the problem, and I used that JB Weld and it worked fine. So it can take the heat, and I'm just gonna slap some on that area between those two bolts where that other bolt is missing, and you know, call it good. Stop the leak and drive it for a couple more years till I can get enough money for a better bike. So anyway, there it is.